We are going to discuss all the operations. So whatever we do like arithmetic and the logical, and how much time or how many cycles are need to be taken for each operation here. That is very important because for different operations we have the different time cycles here. So that's going to discuss in the instruction scheduling here. Because so once we know the time properly, then we can give that much time only for that particular execution here. वहाँ पे क्या होता है? There is no wastage of time and we can execute the instructions very faster here. So to do that, we should know how to schedule the instructions here. So today we'll see how to do the instruction scheduling here. So this is a basic idea behind the what is instruction scheduling here. So as I told you, in this I'm taking the example of ARM9. As I told you, like we have a lot of ARM family in this, starting from ARM1 to ARM9 here. But normally we use 7 to 9 because these are the very, I mean, newer technology in the market here. So we use 7 to 9. Below that, it is not exist in the market here. So first, we'll see. Yeah. So I told you one more point, which I think you remember or not. In this, every execution called as a one cycle here. Suppose if you execute addition, that is called as a one cycle, or whatever we do here, it is count in terms of the cycle only here. Cycle means a time is taken to execute the particular instruction is called as a cycle. It may be one cycle or the n cycles. So depend upon your complexity of your program, it may take the one cycle or it may take the more than one cycle here. Okay, so there's one point here. Instructions that are conditional on the value of R conditions code are in the CPSR. So whatever we do, that we do in the CPSR, because the CPSR is such a block where we execute the current instruction here. So it gives the details about the current instruction, that is called as a current program status register here. I think all of you know very well what is CPSR here. Okay. So that's why this topic is very important for your throughout your these two model, because every time we get that word as CPSR here. CPSR we get the program counter, we get the LR. So these are the like repeated words we need to take in our upcoming topics also. Okay, so that's why we should have at least a basic idea what are these. So if you want to execute any instructions in the ARM, so they have some rules here. So now we'll see we have some rules for executing the instructions here. Okay, the first one, if you are executing the ALU operations, I think all of you know ALU means we get here two operations. One is addition, one more is the subtraction. Suppose if you want to go for execution of ALU operations such as addition and subtraction and logical. I think already we've seen logical operator. That is logical means AND gate, OR gate, not gate. So those are comes under the logical. So if you are executing these type of instructions, it takes one cycle here. This is very important to know. For ALU as addition, subtraction and logical instructions take one cycle of time to execute here. Is it clear all of you? So in tools we are going to discuss for each instruction how many cycles are need to be used for the different operations here. In that, the first one is for ALU, that is addition, subtraction and logical, it takes one cycle for execution. And second point is, see, to load the instructions of n means it will be anything, like it will be 2, 3 or anyone of 32 bit, nothing but one word. So it takes n cycles here. Why it is taking n cycle? Because I'm using here n values. Say for example I'm taking 10 words, so it takes 10 cycles here, nothing but for one word, one cycle here. That is the meaning of this n words, n cycles here. That is the second point. And third point is, suppose if you are loading the less than word means half word or the 1 byte. That is nothing but as size of 16-bit or the 8-bit. It takes one cycle here. Is that clear? If you're taking less than one word means half word or the byte, it takes one cycle to execute here. And next one, if you are using the branch instructions, it takes compulsory 3 cycles here. So to execute any branch instructions, it takes the 3 cycles here. That is called as a branch instructions. Next, so already we know for load of one word and the half word. Now what about store? Because load is nothing but it's an input value, and for store it is nothing but a output value. So for output value also, first we'll see for the 32-bit, then we'll go for the 16-bit and the 8-bit. So in store also same thing only. If you are storing the 32-bit of n values, so it takes n cycles here. And for same for half word 1 byte also, it takes the one cycle here. Next, last one is if you are executing the multiply instructions. I think we seen this in the previous classes only, that is multiply instruction here. So in this it's very important to understand, in multiply instructions the cycle is depend on the your second input here. So they given here the cycles depending on the value of second operand in the product here. So always while using the multiply instructions, the cycles are to be cycles are to be fixed depend on the second operand here. Second operand means, say for example, if you're using multiply equal to a into b means, so depend upon the b value, we have to decide the how many cycles it need here. That is called as a second operand here. So these are the rules for scheduling the instructions here. I think if there are any issues here, please let me know. We have around 6 rules for the scheduling instructions here. Sections here. So now next will come for the second part. The first part is regarding the rules of instruction. Then we'll come for the how to schedule the code here. Say if you're doing any scheduling for this R9, you have to do here 5 operations here. Do the 5 operations in parallel. Parallel means, I think all of you know what is parallel. Parallel means we take the operations side by side. In serial means after one execution we go for the second, or after first completion of first one then we go for a second. But in parallel it's not like that. We take all the operations side by side. That is called as a parallel here. So in this, to schedule any code efficiently, we have to follow the 5 operations here. We have to do the 5 operations in parallel here. So those are, the first is fetch, decode, then ALU. Next we have the LS1 and the LS2. So these are the 5 operations we have to perform for the R9 scheduling instructions here. The first one is fetch, second is decode, third is ALU, fourth is the LS1, fifth is the LS2. So LS is nothing but load store 1, load store 2. So we'll discuss later what are these LS1, LS2. We'll take now one by one here. Okay. The first. So this is a picture to show the 5 operations. That is, first we have the fetch, then decode, then ALU, then LS1, LS2. So all these are done in the program counter only. That is nothing but as PC. Program counter here. Okay, so now first we'll take fetch. So fetch is nothing but fetch from the memory the instruction at the address PC. It is nothing but, so before executing we need the inputs. So all the inputs are stored in the memory. So I have to take that instruction inputs from the memory. So that is called as a fetching the data here. That is nothing but as fetch the memory the instruction at the PC. PC means program counter. So already we know what is PC. So which holds the current execution here. So next, the instructions is loaded into the core, then process down to the core pipeline. That is nothing but after fetching those are passed to the second phase. Second phase means second nothing but decode page. So fetching is nothing but just you have to take the inputs from the memory and add in the program counter, that is called as a fetch here. So after fetch, we'll go for the decoding here. See, decoding the instruction that was fetched previously cycle. So decoding nothing but in this we have the data which is already fetch from the fetch instruction here. In this what we do, so the processor also read the input operands from the register and it is decoded here. Decoded means it converts into machine level language here because the computer understand only the machine level language. So whatever we pass the inputs, those are converted to the machine level, nothing but the binary, nothing but zeros and ones. So that is done by the decoding here. So once the decoding is done, it is sent to ALU. ALU means already we know it is a unit. Sorry, it's reconnected. I'll just share it once again. It's visible now. Hello.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Visible.
Okay. So fetch and decode is over. So in fetch, just we take the data from the memory and keep it in the PC. Second one is decode means so whatever data is taken from the fetch, it is to be converted to the machine level language and sent to the ALU unit. ALU means here only we do the our main operations here. So in this execute the instruction that was decoded in the previous cycle. Previous cycle means this is called as a previous cycle here. So in this whatever we do that is done by the program counter because all these operations are done in the PC only because the PC is a register. At that PC only we have the our current execution status also here, and depend upon our execution the ALU operates here. Nothing but if you want to do the addition, so it do the addition. If you want to do the multiplication, it do the multiplication. If you want to do the logical, it do the logical here. So after doing all the operations, it sent to LS1 here. LS1 means this is nothing but the load or store. See, as we know, after ALU, can we get input or can we get output here? After executing, we get input or we get output value. By default, we get the output value. But if you have the output value means in these two, the store is activated here because already I told you the load is nothing but it's an input side, store is the output side here. So after executing the ALU init, whatever we get the output, those are sent to the ls1 here. So that is nothing but as load or store the data specified by the load or store instruction here. If the instructions is not a load store, then this stage has no effect here. So these two are used for to storing the data here. So one more thing I'll just make it clear. ls1 is used to store the output which are having the 32 bits here, and ls2 is used to store the output of 16 bit or the 8 bit here. Nothing but the ls1 store or hold the input, sorry, the output of one word. The ls2 store the output of half word or the 1 byte here. So that's why we have the two different ls1 and ls2 for the outputs here. This is for the 32-bit storage, this is for the 16-bit and the 8-bit storage. So these are the five operations we have to do for the instructions. First is fetch, decode, ALU, LS1, LS2. So this topic is very important for, because in previous exam this question asked here, explain the ARM9 TDMI operations here. If you ask that question, you have to write all these five operations, draw this diagram here. They ask for 6 marks or 8 marks also. So I have to explain all the five operations and draw this diagram here. Is it clear? So if you have any doubts in this five operations, please let me know.